Hey, eighth grade. So today we're going to talk about renewable and non-renewable resources. And our focus questions are, can we use all of our energy resources forever? And what are the impacts of using certain energy resources? So in modern society, many sources of energy are converted into electrical energy because this is the way that we can easily use it through wires and power things like our businesses, factories, and homes. And this is the same electricity you think about when you think about a plug in your wall. We require large supplies of energy resources to produce so much electricity, and these sources of energy are not always considered endless. There's two different types of resources. The first one we're going to talk about is a non-renewable resource. And these are energy resources that nature cannot replace within a human lifespan. Examples of this are fossil fuels like coal, oil, and natural gas that take millions of years for nature to create from the remains of dead organisms. The second type we're going to talk about are renewable resources. And these are energy resources that can replace quickly, like solar, wind, water, geothermal, and biomass, which is from plant and animal product. So when we talk about renewable and non-renewable, you heard us use that term fossil fuels as a non-renewable. So this is any type of fuel that comes from coal, oil, or natural gas, and it's formed in the earth from dead plants or animals. So down here you see you have the resources, you find it, you extract it, you go through combustion in order to create energy, and that results in usually pollution. So when you use coal, you burn it and it releases really harmful substances into the air and water, and it causes a lot of health hazards, and it can also lead to acid rain, which we talked about earlier this year. Burning coal also releases greenhouse gases that contribute to global warming. Coal mining, which is how it's extracted, actually is a relatively dangerous profession, and it results in a few human deaths a year, but it has gotten much better. Sometimes there can be a buildup of a gas, which can cause some type of combustion underground while people are working. Habitat destruction and loss of landscape may result as trees are starting to be removed in order to mine, and because coal is combustible, it may cause fires. Oil, petroleum, its resources are really limited like any other fossil fuel. It contributes to environmental pollution. Extracting and burning it generates those greenhouse gases again that contribute to environmental pollution and global warming. It produces really hazardous substances during refinement, which is really harmful and toxic materials, including plastic. It's a non-renewable form of energy, so once it's burned, it cannot be replaced. And its transport can cause oil spills. If petroleum spills in bodies of water, adverse effects or harmful effects in marine life are to be expected. And the spills have caused massive ocean pollution, causing the death of thousands of animals and fishes each year. So even if you just think about the extraction issues coming out of the Gulf and this leaks we've had, or just any type of oil spill, these can be really harmful to the environment on top of the actual use of oil, which produces these greenhouse gases. Another type of energy that's sometimes considered renewable, but also considered non-renewable, and that's not a fossil fuel, is nuclear energy. And there are a few issues with nuclear energy. One of them is that the pollution in the form of radioactive waste is present, but there's a lot of new technologies that's making it really cleaner and safer to use each year. And the possibility of radiation leakage or plant meltdown is pretty unlikely at this point because there are a lot of procedures in place. There are problems or dangers which could lead to accidents. Many parts of the plants are actually computerized now with only a little bit of manual work and a little bit of error. The reactors are very expensive in the beginning, but the costs are cheaper in the long run. Uranium can produce about 3.7 million times as much energy as the same amount of coal. So although we're not running out of any type of nuclear energy sources. It is a non-fossil fuel and could be considered non-renewable. And it does have a lot of issues, such as the pollution in the form of radioactive waste, which can be very hazardous to the environment as well as to people. Other non-fossil fuels that are considered renewable are solar, air, tidal, and water. And this is just using the natural movement of these things or capturing solar radiation and converting it into energy. So think about solar panels, wind turbines, dams like this one in the picture here that can produce hydroelectricity. Hydroelectricity is one of the big ones. It requires the building of these dams, though, and it can cause flooding to really large tracts of land before from stopping up that water. Think about if you put a wall in the middle of a river that was slowing down, where's that water going to go? So it can destroy local animals and habitats, and a lot of like plant life can be submerged by flooding, and it can produce like a lot of greenhouse gases like methane when those plants die and then decay. It also can affect the migratory pattern of river animals like salmon and trout. If they cannot go upstream and downstream to breed as they do, they wouldn't be able to because of the dam, and this would cause a lot of problems for their populations. They can also restrict sediments that are responsible for the fertile lands downstream. So a lot of times these rivers are bringing down a lot of nutrients to land downstream. And if we're restricting that sediment movement by putting up a dam, this can produce a lot of problems for people that live on the other side of the dam. Now, I will say that there are a lot of technologies in this as well, and some have started to do like a gradual release where they start to remove the dams and put in less temporary or less long-term things in order to produce this hydroelectricity without the requirement of dams, but that technology is still new and not widely used. Go ahead and work on your packet for today. I'm going to be doing an activity when you're with your teacher to show you renewable and non-renewable resources.